Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to share with you how I sewed some fabric storage boxes. So for these storage boxes, what I made use of was some satin fabric, some interfacing, and some plain navy blue cotton fabric. I had to cut two pieces of each, which were 19 inches by 17 inches. So what I did was I measured 19 inches by 17 inches for the interfacing, and I made sure that there were two pieces of which were identical. Then I also did the same for the plain cotton fabric, same measurements, 19 inches by 17 inches. Then I also did the same for the satin fabric. So what I then did next was I placed the interfacing, making sure the shiny sticky part, as you can see, this the side that you're supposed to make sure is facing on the wrong side of the satin fabric. That's the side that's sticky. So I faced the wrong side of the satin fabric and the wrong side of the interfacing, and I ironed the interfacing onto the satin fabric. I did it the same thing. I repeated the same process for the other piece of satin fabric. As you can see here, I've ironed the interfacing on both satin pieces of satin fabric. Now with right sides facing, I made sure the right sides of the satin fabric are facing. I placed this little square that I made from cardboard box, which is 3 inches by 3 inches. And I'm just going to draw using a tailor's chalk right on those corners, because those are the corners I'm going to cut out. So as you can see here, I've cut out the corners of so as you can see, this is like my fabric is a rectangle shape. The corners are put on the longer side of the fabric, which is the 19 inches side. I repeated the same process on the plain blue cotton material. I draw around the corners, 3 inches by 3 inches, and cut it out as well. And this fabric is a bit difficult to tell which is the right side, but yeah, it's meant to be done with the both side, right sides facing. So you place the two materials right sides facing, then you cut out the corners as shown in the video. Then once I was done, I measured 1 inch from the edge and drew a dotted line using a tailor's chalk as illustrated in the video. A dotted line on both sides of the fabric, and I left the upper side without a dotted line because we're not supposed to stitch there. And then I also repeated the same process. I drew a dotted line at the bottom of the fabric. So I'm just going to quickly stitch those sides. As you can see here, I've done a quick stitching on the dotted place, on the places that I'd drawn a dotted line. So I've done the same for the plain blue material. I've also done a stitching on both the sides and at the bottom of the fabric. It's exactly 1 inch from the edge. So I measured 1 inch from the edge and made a stitching which is 1 inch from the edge. So once done, I made sure I pressed open the seams, as you can see in the video. I pressed open the seams using an iron, and then I made sure that the bottom seam and the side seams are faced together, right sides are faced together, and I made them join together, as you can see in the video, and I measured exactly an inch from the edge and placed dressmaker's pins to make sure that the seams remain in position. May you please pardon me for my arm, my big thumb there. I can see it's a bit dry. I forgot to apply some lotion. But anyway, so I did the same for both sides. And then once done, as you can see that both the sides are now together, I'm going to quickly draw with a tailor's chalk from the edge to be an inch from the edge, and I'll draw a line using tailor's chalk to guide me when I'm doing the stitching. I'll do the same process for the plain blue cotton fabric. I'll make sure the edges are matching and the seams are matching. And I'll place dressmaker's pins to keep the two fabrics together. So as you can see, it's already taking shape. You can actually see that once those corners are pinned together, the shape, the box shape is actually now taking form. Though I haven't stitched where I've placed the pins, I'll do that stitching shortly after as you can see here, I marked with my dressmaker's, my tailor's chalk. I put markings that will guide me as I'm going to be stitching both the sides on both the two different types of fabric, like what I've done in the video. So the stitching was done on the satin fabric and on the plain blue cotton material. I chose to use satin because it was leftover material from my rod curtain which I made, and I wanted the boxes to match the curtain as well. Though I would not recommend for you guys to use satin. Okay, so when I'm done with that, I then turned the satin part of the box right side out, as you can see in the video. So that's me just trying to make sure all the corners are popping out and to make sure that the box is actually straightened out properly. Then I took the blue box part of it. This time around, I do not turn it right side out. I leave it the way it is. The wrong side should be, the way the seams are should remain outside, and I placed the satin right side into the navy blue box, as you can see in the video. So this blue part of it is meant to be like a lining of the box. And I chose a dark color so that at least even if, so that it won't easily get dirty, or the dirt won't be as visible since the color is a bit dull. So I made sure the seams are facing each other, and I placed a pin on the seams to make sure that the box is in place, as you can see in the video. So this is just making sure that both the satin part of the box and the navy blue part of the box are seated properly and the edges are matching. Then before I forget, I made sure I placed a pin on 2 points, the first point and the second point, so that I'll remember that these 2 points I'm not supposed to stitch, because this is the part I'm going to use as an opening when I want to flip the finished item. And then I just went on to put pins right around the box, as you can see in the video. I think at this point I'd realized that my hand was a bit ashy and I applied some lotion. I'm sure you've noticed the difference. Okay, so I'm done with pinning right around the box. I'm just going to draw with a tailor's chalk to mark the areas where the stitching is going to be, and making sure that my 2 points that are to be left open are still in place. So as you can see here, I've marked with the tailor's chalk right around the box to indicate the places I'm going to stitch, and the places I'm not supposed to stitch, I still have my pins on to use to serve as a marker. And I've done the stitching, and as you can see here, the 2 points I was insisting that should not be stitched are not stitched. So I do not stitch right round, I stitch from that point to the next point, leaving an opening there. Then once I'm done, I'm going to pinch the bottom of both the boxes and pull them out, as you can see in the video. And to make sure that the lining of my box will not be moving, I make sure I grab the edges of the satin part of the box, which is the white part, as you can see is what I'm doing in the video. So I'm pulling it out completely, making sure all the edges and all the corners are pulled out and they are nicely straightened. Then once I'm done, I'm going to grab one edge of the box, as you can see here, and match it with the other edge. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to stitch these edges together, like the video best illustrates what I'm trying to say. I place the 2 edges facing each other, and with a pin I make sure they are in place. So I pin it down. The reason why I'm putting these together is because I want to do a stitching from the edge, half an inch from the edge, to make sure that these 2 edges are sewed together. This will make sure that even when I flip the box right side out, the lining won't be moving, it will be in place. So that's the reason why I am joining these edges together. So I do it for both sides. I do it for one of the, like I did it for that side, and I'm also doing it for the other side. And using a tailor's chalk, I'm going to mark where the stitching is supposed to, the half-inch stitching from the edge that I'm going to do. So I'll mark both sides. So there is my marking. So I'll stitch right over those markings that I've done using the tailor's chalk. Yeah, it's not the straightest of stitching, pardon me, But yeah, I think you can get the point. So once I'm done with the stitching, I'm going to go to that opening that I left initially, those 2 points that I didn't sew together. And then I will turn the right side of the box out, like I'm literally pulling it out, is illustrated in the video. So I pull it out and making sure all the insides, all those seams and everything are now inside, making it very neat. So that's the finished product after I've done the pulling out of the right side through that opening I left earlier. So this is just me trying to make sure. As you can see, the box is actually taking shape. You can tell that this is a box. So once I'm done, I did a bit of ironing to make sure that all those wrinkles are taken care of and to make sure that the final end product would look neat. So as I was stitching, I also stitched right around the edge. So at this part, I'm going to quickly stitch 1/2 inch from the edge. This will also allow me to put a closing on that opening that I'd left earlier. When I stitch right around the edge, the opening will be closed. So I removed part of my machine. It's a part that you can detach, but if you're familiar with sewing, when you're sewing things that are going to maybe go in a circular way, it's easier to do it when you've removed the bottom part of it. So that's me now just making a quick stitching from the edge. Okay, so I'm done with the stitching. So that's the 1/2 inch stitching from the edge right round the opening of the box. And this is the final product. The reason why I had made the length of my box to be a bit longer was because I knew I wanted to fold the edges so that the blue that's inside will pop out a bit, giving the box a bit of style. So now I get to fold part of the box. And this is the final product. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching till the end. I hope this video was useful to you and you have learned something. Do not forget to drop your comments. Don't forget to DM me on my Facebook page if you've got any suggestions or anything that you might want to communicate to me. And of course, do not forget to click on the subscription button and to click on the notification button. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Bye.